So I just wanted to give a quick review of the hoodie by Blanks by 13. It's a pretty popular Blanks hoodie that I've seen popping up a lot on Instagram recently. I'm assuming a lot of people have bought from them, but I was surprised because when I was looking to buy them, I didn't find any reviews on YouTube. So yeah, I just wanted to get this review out there so anyone who's looking to buy this product can understand a lot more about it. And the annoying thing for me is that whenever I watch people do reviews on hoodies, it's usually not a single video. It's like part of a compilation. They don't really review the hoodie. They just like talk about like maybe the fit and a few other things, but they don't talk about all the aspects of it. So yeah, I wanted to give my sort of in-depth review of this hoodie since it's pretty expensive considering it's just a blank hoodie. It's always nice to be aware of what you're buying before you actually buy it. So the company is called Blanks by 13. You might have seen them on Instagram because it seems like they're pushing ads on there pretty hard. That's at least how I found out about them. I think the parent company is 13 Studios, which makes a bunch of hoodies, not just blank ones, but hoodies and I think loungewear in general. Yeah, I guess they spun off and made their own blanks as well. Yeah, currently they only have a white and a black version. Right now I'm wearing the black version so you can kind of get a sense for how it looks on body already. But I will have some footage later on showing properly how it actually looks. But yeah, I'll just put some stats up on a picture to the side. These are all the details of the product that they give on their website. Basically, it's 100% combed cotton. The material is pretty soft. The weight of the hoodie is pretty decent. I wouldn't call it a heavyweight hoodie by any means, but I definitely wouldn't call it a lightweight hoodie either. I'd say it's somewhere in the middle. I wish I knew the GSM of the hoodie, but there's nowhere in the product listing that explains that, and I also DM'd them and they didn't really answer. Yeah, it's an 18.5 ounce hoodie, which I assume is just how much it weighs for like one of the medium or large sizes. It does say it's pre-shrunk in the wash, so that's pretty nice. I have washed these already, so I can say that they don't really shrink in the wash, which is good. Although I will say that in the dryer, a lot of the material does sort of come off, so I don't recommend drying this. I recommend definitely cold washing it and then air drying it, just hanging it up or putting it outside or something, which is what you should honestly do with most clothing if you're properly taking care of it. There is no branding at all, which is nice. If you're buying a blank, that's probably what you want. You don't want any branding. Even inside, there's no tag on the back. There's just one tag on like the torso area. I think it's nice that they keep it really minimalistic because that's what it's about. They also are made in the USA, which is nice to know that they're more ethically made. Of course, it comes with a higher price tag slightly because of that, but I think it's worth it knowing that your clothes were made ethically. It also comes with a drop shoulder. What I noticed about a lot of hoodies that are drop shoulder is that it's hard for hoodies to both look good in your regular size and also one size up, because if they're meant to be fitted, then it looks good in your regular size, but if you do one size up, it sort of looks like kind of awkward because the drop shoulder is like kind of in an awkward placement. At the same time, if you get an oversized hoodie, it's the opposite problem. If you get, your proper size, it looks good, but if you get one size up, it's just like way too big on you. So I think this hoodie does a really great job of meeting that middle point where even if you get the regular size, it'll look fine on you. And if you get the large size, it'll look properly oversized. So that's one thing that's nice about this hoodie is that you can go both true to size or one size up and they'll both look good on you. As for me, I'm 5'11" and about 160 pounds. And I got a large because I was going for an oversized fit and that's exactly what I got. If I went for medium, I'm sure it would look fitted and it would look fine. But yeah, just in case, the measurements are on the website, so you can just always refer to them if you need to. Another thing is the seams, which is basically just like material that's on the shoulder and on the pockets and at the hem. I would say they're actually really nice. They feel pretty solid. It doesn't feel like they're gonna break. The cuffs on the sleeves are pretty loose. Obviously I went up a size, so they're gonna feel loose regardless, but I think it's definitely not tight, like something you would find on like a vintage Champion or a smaller hoodie. They're definitely more relaxed and they're not gonna be pinching your wrists at all. I would say the hood is the best part of this hoodie, and that's because the hood itself is actually double layered. So the rest of the hoodie itself, I'm pretty sure is just one layer of fabric. I think it's really important that for a hoodie, the hood is structured and maintains its shape. Otherwise, it kind of just flops around. It looks really cheap. So yeah, this hoodie definitely gets that right, where it's double layered, it's properly structured, and it's also very big. So when you put it over your head, it fits, especially for people like me who have like a pretty big head. It's nice to have a hood that actually fits you properly. Another thing that it gets right for sure is wrinkling. So I have another double layered hoodie from a company called Minimal. And I got a few of them from them a while back just because I figured they would be one of the better alternatives to the Yeezy Gap hoodie. But one thing that really stinks about those is that they wrinkle really easily, and I think it's because the fabric that they use for the double layer is very thin. So even though it's a double layered hoodie and it's pretty heavy, it's very wrinkly. And when a hoodie just gets really wrinkly easily, it just looks so cheap. But this hoodie doesn't have that problem. Even after wearing it a few times and putting it in the wash and folding it up, things like that, it doesn't look wrinkly at all. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's really nice about this hoodie is that it doesn't look cheap on your body, which ultimately I think is what you're going for when you're going for a hoodie. One caveat with this hoodie is that it does take a couple weeks to ship. In my experience, it took like almost a month from the time that I ordered. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not something that's going to come into you in less than a week. Also, I will say for the individual price of $64, it's a pretty high price for a blank hoodie, but the thing is, compared to other competitors out there that make quality blank hoodies, it's a pretty reasonable price, even at the price point of $64. I guess the price of things have just gone up and it's time to get used to that. But yeah, although it pains me to say it, $64 for a hoodie of this quality is actually not bad of a deal. One thing is though, they offer wholesale pricing. So if you buy 4 or more, you'll get lower prices, and I'll put the price range up here, depending on the quantity. But yeah, I definitely think at any of the lower prices, it's even more worth it. So if you have a few friends who are willing to get the same hoodie, or you know you can maybe sell some of them off, then I'll definitely try going for a wholesale option if you can afford it. Just because I think paying $64 for a hoodie is just a little bit painful for me when it's not something that's like super crazy quality. Like, don't get me wrong, like these hoodies are definitely good quality and they'll probably last a long time. I'm happy with the purchase overall, but if there's a lower price on the table that I can take without too much more effort, then I would probably go for that. So I'll put some footage of me wearing the hoodie right now. And one last thing that I'll talk about is dyeing this hoodie. So actually the white hoodies that they come out with, they're apparently treated so that they're able to take in dye very well. So yeah, I really wanted to try this out with my white hoodie. I think the most common dye to use for DIY by far is RIT dye. You can get it off Amazon, you can get it basically anywhere. The process is very simple. You can just follow the instructions in the bottle. But basically what I did was I filled a paint bucket full of about 3 gallons of water and then put 1 cup of salt and a couple teaspoons of dishwasher soap and then the dye. And you have to make sure the water is very warm. I would just get it from like your bathtub. First you want to wet the hoodie so that it soaks easier, and then you put it into the bucket and you basically have to stir for like, they say to stir continuously for 30 minutes. I did not do that just because I'm pretty lazy and it's pretty tiring to stir for that long. I took the hoodie out after 30 minutes. Then you're supposed to rinse it under cold water until the water runs clear, which I also did not do because I was lazy. And then yeah, I took the hoodie out, put it back into warm water again, and then also put this RIT dye fixative, which apparently helps the dye stay in the clothing and not come out as easily. That's definitely worth it if you can afford like the extra $8 to pay for that. After that, you again rinse it out and then you put it in the wash. At this point, I will say though, the hoodie is very, very heavy because it's just so waterlogged. So you're gonna wanna put in a couple towels in there. Just make sure they're old towels that you don't mind getting ruined, because some of the dye is probably gonna come off in this first wash. And then after you wash it, they recommend drying it. And this is where I found out that a lot of material comes out during the drying process. So yeah, I would just be mindful of that. Air drying it probably isn't the problem either. I will say the way the dyeing came out was actually really, really nice. One thing you'll notice about my hoodie is that it's pretty splotchy and it almost looks like it's like sun faded because of how the dyeing is inconsistent. Personally, I actually like how that looks. I think it makes it look almost like a vintage hoodie, which is honestly what I would prefer. I don't want the hoodie to look super, super new, especially when I dyed it a certain color. So I actually like the effect that it created. However, this probably isn't what most people want. They probably just want a consistent color. And the reason why I think mine ended up splotchy is because one, the water wasn't really that hot. I think they recommend over 140 degrees, but I think mine is closer to like 120, 130. So try to get more boiling water in there if you can. The second thing is that I didn't put it in a big enough bucket. So you should put it in a bucket, or ideally like a large plastic container that can carry up to 5 gallons of water, so that you can actually move around the hoodie properly and ensure that all parts of it are properly covered by the dye. Otherwise, you'll get kind of splotchy or like even streaking patterns like I did. Another tip that I would give for dyeing is just do it in your bathtub. So it sounds kind of dangerous to do inside your home, in your bathtub, just because like, oh, like what if it gets on things and stains it? But at the same time, it's easier to get hot water when you're just using the bathtub. I made the mistake of initially doing it on my driveway, and yeah, there's like a giant blue stain where I was like transferring the hoodie from like one spot to another, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be really hard, if not impossible, to get out. So yeah, don't make that stupid mistake. Yeah, we're low-key struggling out here actually, so I will leave my Venmo down below. And when you're pouring out the dye, pour it out in the bathtub. That's apparently the best place to put it. But when you're doing it, make sure the water is running at the same time so that the water can help dilute the dye as it's going down the drain. Otherwise, the dye might stay long enough on your bathtub surface to stain it a bit. Don't ask me how I know. So with all that being said, do I recommend this hoodie? I think I definitely do recommend it. For the price, like I said, just a lot of hoodies are just expensive these days, and it's really hard to find one that's actually good quality, fits the proper way, feels like it'll last a long time, can also be dyed if you want to. And I think this hoodie checks all those boxes. It's a nice medium weight where it's not too heavy, not too light. I think the hood maintains its structure. The material itself is pretty good quality and soft. The fit, I think, is a very nice average fit. It's not cropped. Yeah, this hoodie is as average as it gets, but when it comes to basics, that's kind of what you want. The only thing I would knock on them is the time it takes to ship it. And also with dyeing, I highly recommend dyeing it, especially if there's a certain color that you want. It's annoying that they don't have different colors, but it's also really nice that the white hoodie is very good for dyeing. So you can choose basically any color you want on Amazon. And like I said, if you do it the way I do it, you can also get a vintage look with it, which I think just looks really nice. And I'm also really interested in dyeing other clothes in my wardrobe and seeing how that turns out. I think that's something I'll be experimenting more with from now on. So it was nice to have this hoodie as sort of like a introductory experience with dyeing. But yeah, basically all I had to say about this hoodie.